Welcome to Exploring Views of Newark. My name is Nadine and I'm the Special Collections Librarian at the Newark Public Library. Today, I would like to share some of the panoramas, bird's eye views, property maps, fine prints, and drawings of Newark which are contained within the William J. Dane Fine Print Collection at the library. Many more images, including photographs, maps, and fire insurance atlases are also held by the Charles F. Cummings New Jersey Information Center here at the library as well. Most of the maps have been digitized and can be found in our digital archive. For your reference, that URL is included here on the slide, https://digital.npl.org. The items I am about to show you are of interest for a variety of reasons. Firstly, perhaps you're just curious to see what Newark looked like 100 years ago. Or maybe you're researching the history of your neighborhood or your street or even your house. Perhaps you're delving into genealogy and you want to see where your great-grandparents lived. These historic views document how areas have evolved and changed. When you arrive at our digital archive, it will look something like this on the home page. And just to note that we are making improvements to this site because we are migrating from one platform to another. So occasionally there will be glitches and we are aware of those and we are working to fix those as soon as we can. So once you get to the home page, on the upper tab, you're going to click on NPL Collections. So once you click on NPL Collections, it's going to give you a list of the 3 departments within the library which have collections digitized. If you want to view some of the fine prints that are available, and there aren't that many, but you'll find some, then you're going to click on the last one, the Special Collections Department, and there'll be a small list of collections, and then you will select the fine print collection. And then if you want to check out some of the panoramas that I'll be showing you and some of the bird's eye views, you're going to click on Charles F. Cummings New Jersey Information Center. And then there'll be a list of several pages long. You're going to go on page 2 and you're going to look for Newark Other Collections. And then once you arrive there, you'll be able to narrow down your search to panoramas. If you look over on the left side of the screen, there'll be some subject terms and other listings. Just look for panoramas and click on those. And in addition to the items that I will show you today, you will also see some aerial photographs. And again, whatever you'll see in the presentation today is just a very small sampling of what we have available because not everything in the Special Collections Department has been digitized. We have views of Newark that take up large map case drawers, and we have boxes and boxes of prints. So you can just imagine how large the collection is, but I would like you to get an idea of the kinds of resources that we have available. And when the library reopens, certainly anybody can come look at these if you schedule an appointment. This is a bird's eye view of Newark between present day Mulberry Street and Penn Station. I know it's hard to imagine this, but this is how Newark appeared back at around 1820. This map is labeled with homesteads of important residents, such as Sally Crane and John Morris, and with the names of streets, Mulberry Street and Market Street, for example. And this is a lithograph. Basically, what you see here is what is now the ironbound section of Newark, with the Passaic River in the distance. This is a map of property in Newark, which belonged to James Baldwin, which was going to be sold at auction in 1836. This shows basically the same area that was depicted in the previous map from the last slide. So there's just about maybe a 10 or 15-year difference between the two images. It shows the area between Market Street and present-day Raymond Boulevard, which was divided into tracts. So today, Riverbank Park exists at the top right of this map, just east of Van Buren Street. Also note the location of the Morris Canal and all of the industries that once existed along the Passaic River. If you zoom in close enough, there's even an image of a horse pulling a boat along the Morris Canal. For those of you who aren't familiar, the Morris Canal was completed to Newark in 1831, and then it was extended eastward to Jersey City between 1834 and 1836. The canal carried coal from Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley to northern New Jersey's growing iron industry and other developing industries which were adopting steam power in New Jersey and New York City. It also carried minerals and ores westward to blast furnaces in western New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania. It went into decline after the introduction of railroads, and by about 1924, the Morris Canal was abandoned. Portions of Raymond Boulevard are built over the canal, and in other parts of Newark, the Newark Light Rail was built on top of its route. Here's an image, it's an etching of the Courthouse and Square in Newark, New Jersey. In case you're wondering that this doesn't look like the present courthouse, it's because it's not. So this is how the intersection between Springfield and West Market Streets appeared around 1838, when the original courthouse, which was designed by John Haviland, was completed. Haviland also built the Essex County Jail in 1837. It's hard to imagine that this is how the busy intersection once appeared, full of horses and carriages. And here is the view of that same intersection as captured in Google Maps. The original courthouse, which was shown in the previous slide, was replaced in 1904 by the current structure designed by Cass Gilbert. And the sculpture of the seated Lincoln in front of the courthouse was designed by Gutzon Borglum and was dedicated by President Theodore Roosevelt in 1911. Here is an etching from 1844 of the Lower Green. The Lower Green was also known as Military Common, or today, Military Park. This view faces north at Military Park, and it's somewhat similar to the view of the courthouse we saw earlier because of the many horses and carriages in this scene. The site of the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, which opened in 1997, would be on the far right, and the Episcopal Church is on the left. The park itself has quite an interesting history. During the Revolutionary War, it was known as the Lower Commons or the Lower Green, and George Washington's troops camped out in the park in 1776. So today, if you happen to see the very large monument in the park, which is called the Wars of America, this was sculpted by Gutzon Borglum. And Borglum, who I just mentioned, is the same artist who was responsible for the statue of Lincoln in front of the courthouse, and Borglum is best known for Mount Rushmore. You'll notice that in the monument, The Wars in America, there are 42 figures, including Revolutionary War soldiers. And at one point, Military Park became neglected, and during festivals it was, quote, a center for rude merrymaking, where there were over 20 booths that served alcohol. It was a place where cows roamed, and people who lived in the area chipped in and had a fence built around it in order to keep all the many animals out. And here is a view of Newark from 1847. The view is from the Hudson County side of the Passaic River facing Newark. This one is one of the earliest views of this type and shows the railroad crossing of the New Jersey Railroad, which later became the Pennsylvania Railroad and is now owned by Amtrak. Important landmarks include the Old First Church, the Boudinot Mansion at Military Park, and the Plume House on Broad Street facing east, and the Passaic River. In the upper right is one of the early Bridge Street bridges which connected Newark with New York to the east and Philadelphia to the west. And there are 4 vignettes on the bottom, including views of Broad Street and Military Park. And if you look closely at the view of Military Park, it is now depicted with a fence around its perimeter. Next is a hand-colored engraving of Newark with the Morris Canal in the foreground and the Second Reformed Dutch Church in the background center, which was built in 1848. The Central Railroad of New Jersey runs from left to right of this image, with a steam engine visible at the far left. The Passaic River is behind this view, parallel to the Morris Canal. And this view was made by Charles Magnus around 1850, 1859, and there really is a great amount of detail in this particular view of Newark. This is how Newark appeared in 1857 from the residence of T.V. Johnson. The mansion of Mr. Johnson was located on High Street, which was the former name of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. The mansion was surrounded by gardens, paths, and carriageways. Below is the industrial section of Newark, and beyond are the meadows and to the east, New York City. The view of Newark is taken from the present-day location of Essex Community College. The image is printed in tints with several lithographic plates, which were each rubbed with ink of a different color and then pressed onto the same sheet of paper. And here is a view from 1860. It's drawn from High Street, again, that is now Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and illustrated below the hill are brick and frame residential, commercial, and industrial structures. Notable buildings depicted in this view include St. Patrick's Cathedral, Old First Church, Grace Church, and St. Paul's. The Bird's Eye View of Newark by C.R. Parsons from 1874 is looking towards Newark from Harrison, showing all of downtown Newark. And just to orient you, at the very center of the map, you'll see a green triangle, and that is Military Park. And the other green triangle, just to the right, is Washington Park. The parks are easy to note because you'll see these church steeples, which are visible right off of Broad Street. And in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see another park. That's Lincoln Park. And if you're curious and you have the chance to zoom in and look at this map in the digital archive, you'll see that just to the left of Military Park and flanking Raymond Boulevard is a long structure. That is what was once called the Center Market. It was a very busy place, and it was situated right above the Morris Canal. And in this view, you could see all the ships and all the different industries and all the activity that were taking place right along the Passaic River. And here are two of the detailed vignettes that appeared at the bottom of the previous map. So on the upper left, we have the New Jersey Business College, which was located at 764, 766 Broad Street between Market Street and Clinton Place. And on the bottom right is the Celluloid Trimming Factory, which is located at 56 Ferry Street, which manufactured cellular rings on harnesses for horses. If you're not familiar with celluloid, it was an early type of plastic. So in 1869, there was a man called John Wesley Hyatt who began experimenting with celluloid, and it's the material that we now call plastic. He created a very successful product, and he found himself in a 5-story factory on Newark's Mechanic Street. He and his business partner produced a billiard ball substitute, and they also manufactured dental plates, knife handles, piano keys, harness trimmings, buttons, shirt collars and cuffs, napkin rings, and mirror backs. So that's basically a short summary about celluloid and why there were so many factories in Newark that were producing it. The Special Collections Division at the Newark Public Library contains many etchings by an artist named George Bradshaw. This is a view of Lincoln Park from the early 20th century. In the etching, the industrial office building, which is now known as Essex Plaza, is shown on the right facing Broad Street. And the Clinton Avenue Reformed Church, which is now the La Vida Verdadera Church, which was completed in 1872, and you can see the steeple is on the left side of this image. This is a view of Military Park looking north from the Newark Athletic Club, and this was also an etching that was done by George Bradshaw in 1920. Here, the Trinity and St. Philip's Cathedral and the Griffith Building can be seen on the left, and the First Baptist Petty Memorial Church can be seen in the center off to the right. George Bradshaw captured various views throughout Newark. Here is the ironbound section that was etched in 1920. This view captures Market Street. The Central Methodist Church, where Stephen Crane's father, the Reverend Jonathan Townley Crane, preached, stands on the left. The church was demolished in the 1970s. It would have been located just past the Paramount Theater. Peter Ballantyne came to Newark from Scotland and established the Ballantyne Brewery in 1840. The brewery eventually had 2 locations in Newark. Here is a view of Ballantyne's breweries from 1903, right along the Passaic River. This is the site that is presently occupied by the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. Another view of Military Park by Lewis Rule in 1925 shows Park Place. So in this view, you'd be standing sort of in front of the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, and the New Jersey Historical Society would be over on your left. The park is on your right, and you're looking towards Raymond Boulevard and Broad Street. Another view by the same artist is the corner of Broad and Market, which has always been a very busy intersection. In this view, you can see the crowds and the trolleys that used to travel down Broad Street. The last view I would like to share is a lithograph of Newark from 1932, which shows Newark Airport with the city in the background. I believe this is a very rare view because I've looked around and I haven't been able to find a similar one held by any other repository. The image was created during the Great Depression, before the expansion of the runways at the airport and before new terminals were opened. Thank you so much for watching. If you ever have any questions or comments, please feel free to send an email to specialcollections@npl.org. And just as a reminder, our digital archive can be accessed at https://digital.npl.org. All of the images that you've seen today are not accessible through the archive, but some are, so I encourage you to explore and find other maps and other images which can pique your curiosity or help you in your research of Newark. Thank you so much and hope to see you again soon.